This is a 1977 Boston Whaler Montauk with a Mariner 100 Mercury engine. Today we are de-rigging this motor and putting in a replacement motor. Nothing is wrong with the motor, it's just a 94 model and I just want a newer motor on the boat. Removing the current engine is easy, 4 nuts and bolts, and then it's out. Using an engine hoist, you lift it out. The old Morse controls that came with the Mercury won't be used. Here is the old gauges and wood paneling. All of this will be removed and replaced with starboard. The starboard that's being used is 3/16 of an inch, about the same thickness as this current panel that is on the boat. On the bench, you'll notice there's a router. I'm going to round over the edges to give it a smooth finish look. Installing the Yamaha F90 onto the boat is relatively easy. 4 nuts and bolts plus live caulk into the holes on the transom. This is the existing battery cable that came with the F90. It's 12 foot long, made by Yamaha, but it's not long enough for this boat, so I had to buy a replacement one. The replacement cable is 18 feet long, 2 gauge, and came pre-crimped, arriving just like this. In order for you to remove the old battery cable, remove the screw, this bracket, and then you'll find this grommet. So lift up the grommet. Unscrew this bracket that holds the cable down. There's a second one in the back right here and a third one back here again. Here's the new battery cable hooked up. The negative is to the engine block, the positive is to the starter motor, and it's fed through those brackets again, and then it's going to go through the grommet. This is the picture that's in the rigging guide that tells you what should be going through the grommet. I'm reusing the existing control cable. These are Yamaha, 18 feet long, and there's some damage here, but I'll repair that. Note that the two ends are not the same. One goes to the throttle and one goes to the engine, and the cable itself has already been fed through the rigging tube on the bottom of the boat into the console. This bracket will need to be removed in order for you to feed the control cables through. The gear selector is on the right, the throttle is on the left. Remove the cotter pin and then attach the cable there. I have already attached the gear selector cable through here on the bottom, and now it's for the throttle cable that goes on top. There's a notch on the bracket that fits into this cable. There are 5 screws on the control box that will need to be removed in order for you to access the inside of it, and then remove this bracket here. This grommet here separates the control cable from the gear selector cable, and then there's the 2 circlip on the brackets itself that needs to be removed. Here's a picture of it in the rigging guide as a reference. And here is the completed work on the 2 cables inside the control box. And here's another view inside the cowl of the 2 cables all hooked up. This trim piece for the control box has to be installed before you insert the whole unit into the console. Here it is with the whole unit inserted into the console and the trim pieces on the bottom. You're going to need to install 4 through bolts and nuts for the control box, and 4 screws that attaches the box to the control itself. Last thing you need is to install the kill switch and key switch, as well as hooking up the cables that's attached to it. And these are the main harness cables that will be attached to the control box. Here is the completed job for the key switch and kill switch, and the wires under the console is all wrapped up neatly. This was my first time rigging a boat, so it wasn't that bad as long as you follow the rigging guide. Good luck, y'all.